My goodness, my goodness. The Indiana Fever House appears to be on fire as they are now acting out of desperation. Make no mistake about it. The Indiana Fever are acting out of desperation. Listen, they're giving away Twinkies and cups of ice cream for fans to come to get.
The Indiana Fever House is on fire. Twinkies, ice cream cups, free tires, oil changes. This is what desperation looks like in the WNBA right now. And the team selling thousands fewer tickets per game than Caitlin Clark's rookie season has nobody to blame but themselves.
We're going to get into that, but a broadcaster, Kate Scott, was brutally honest about Caitlin Clark's turnover situation. She did not hold back. This was live on the telecast. We've got to get into it. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification to hype the video. That'd be greatly appreciated. As always, let's go, let's go.
Broadcaster Kate Scott just did something nobody on a live WNBA telecast has been willing to do. She defended Caitlin Clark on the turnover narrative with actual receipts, on the air, in real time. And it exposed how lazy the criticism has become.
This turnover situation.
You know, we all read the comments, right? We see that some folks have a problem with how much Caitlin turns the ball over, right? They're always looking for something. As the Storm and Stephanie Dolson start us off here in this fourth quarter. So I look things up, just comparing to the MNBA, leaders in assists. Nikola Jokic, about 10 assists a game, 4 turnovers a game. Kate Cunningham, who I know is playing a big game 7 tonight, about 9.5 assists per game, 4 turnovers a game. So
watch what she does here. She doesn't deflect, she doesn't soften it. She goes straight to the comments, acknowledges the hate, then pulls the receipts. Nikola Jokic, 3-time MVP, averages roughly 10 assists and 4 turnovers per game. Cade Cunningham, currently carrying the Detroit Pistons in a Game 7, averages 9.5 assists and right around 4 turnovers a night. The math tells the whole story before she even finishes the sentence.
You guys clearly don't watch the game of basketball, okay? Because all of the high usage rate guards have turnovers, okay? Cade Cunningham, Detroit Pistons, average about 9.5 assists a game. Detroit Pistons rely on him to create everything. He averages about 4 turnovers, okay? The Joker, okay? The multiple-time MVP, NBA champion, Nikola Jokic, the Joker. Average a lot.
Here's what makes the turnover narrative collapse the moment you look at it. James Harden in his 36-point-per-game Houston era was a turnover machine. LeBron James, considered one of the smartest passers in basketball history, regularly ranks among league leaders in giveaways. When you create more than half your team's offense, when the ball lives in your hands for 80% of possessions, mistakes are mathematically guaranteed. The people pushing the turnover narrative aren't basketball analysts. They're not even basketball fans. They're people who already decided how they feel about Caitlin Clark, and they're searching for a stat that confirms it.
Haterade. Now, here's a few things we got to get into, man. The Indiana Fever are moving like absolute clowns, okay? They are moving like absolute clowns. Make no mistake about it. So the Indiana Fever put together, you know, the graphics lately for the Indiana Fever have not been showcasing Caitlin Clark at all. And I 100% believe it is intentional. Okay, so if you look at this graphic here, they have Raven Johnson, okay, and you see.
But the broadcaster booth telling the truth on air is only half this story. The other half is what the Fever organization itself is doing. And it's arguably worse than anything the haters online have cooked up. Pull up the recent Fever promotional graphics. The matchup against the Sky on Wednesday. The Valkyries game on Friday. The face front and center on those promos, Raven Johnson. A bench player averaging roughly 1 point per game. Not Clark. Not the player driving every ticket sale, every television rating, every piece of merchandise moving off shelves.
Valkyries, and I think this is absolute asinine. We have seen the Indiana Fever place Kelsey Mitchell front and center, Aaliyah Boston front and center, Sophie Cunningham front and center, Lexi Holt, Michaela Timpson. They are placing any and everybody front and center except Caitlin Clark. And make no mistake about it, this is not a mistake. It's not a coinkadink. It's not a coincidence. They are trying to slap Caitlin Clark fans directly in the face, and it's disrespectful. And you wonder why you are.
And this isn't a one-time graphic design choice. This is a pattern. Kelsey Mitchell front and center, Aaliyah Boston front and center, Lexi Hull getting promotional placement, Sophie Cunningham getting solo features. Anyone, literally anyone in that locker room, gets the spotlight treatment except the player whose jersey outsells the rest of the roster combined.
Per game, go take a look in the mirror at how you are moving. You guys have now been relegated to using gimmicks to sell tickets. Okay, you're giving away Christmas trinkets, you're giving away holiday cards, and it's not the holidays. You're giving away everything you can to get people to come out, but while being disrespectful toward Caitlin Clark and Caitlin Clark fans, when you know the people are showing up for the show. People are showing up for.
The Fever's response to declining attendance hasn't been to lean into their generational star. It's been to actively avoid her. Family nights with $28 tickets, free hot dogs, cheese hats, Christmas trinkets in the middle of the regular season, holiday cards on dates nowhere near a holiday, Pride nights stacked on theme nights stacked on giveaway nights. This is what a franchise looks like when it refuses to accept why its building was full in the first place. The crowds didn't show up for Indianapolis basketball. They didn't show up out of regional loyalty. They showed up for one specific player, and the front office is now spending its entire marketing budget pretending that isn't true.
Do this before. You didn't have to do this before, and now you have turned the fans off so much that now you are relegated to doing these type of events, and you're trying to put Raven Johnson on there. Look, you was giving away family nights, $28 tickets with Cheez-Its, hats, and hot dogs, and you guys have completely ruined the brand because you have.
Here's what gets lost in the noise around all of this, and it's the piece that connects the broadcaster defending Clark on air to the franchise actively hiding her in marketing materials. Both situations come from the same source. There is a faction inside the women's basketball ecosystem, inside the league office, inside front offices, inside certain corners of the media, that genuinely resents how much of this sport's growth is tied to one player. They resent the attention. They resent the demographic she brought in. They resent that the casual fan checking in didn't show up for the WNBA as a concept. That casual fan showed up for her. So Kate Scott pointing at Jokic's turnover numbers isn't just a basketball defense. It's a broadcaster breaking ranks with the unspoken rule that says you don't push back on Clark criticism, no matter how unserious that criticism is. Cade Cunningham generates 9 assists a night for a Pistons team that has no other initiator. He gives the ball away 4 times a game, and nobody writes a think piece about it. The double standard isn't subtle, it's not even hidden. Meanwhile, the Fever's marketing department is making the inverse decision. They watched ticket prices plummet. They watched secondary market resale values crater on nights when injury news leaked. They watched their own attendance numbers slide thousands of seats per game compared to last season. And their response wasn't to put the face of the franchise on every piece of promotional material. It was to push her further into the background and pretend Raven Johnson is the draw. Think about how absurd that is from a pure business standpoint. The most watched WNBA regular season game in the league's history featured Clark. The most watched WNBA playoff game involved her team. National broadcast windows were rearranged around her schedule. Jersey sales set records. Rookie merchandise outsold established stars by margins that hadn't been seen in any professional sport in years. And the team that holds her contract is responding to slumping demand by hiding her from the demand. Compare that to how the NBA handled LeBron James in his rookie season in Cleveland, or how MLB handled Shohei Ohtani's arrival in Anaheim. You build the entire promotional ecosystem around the star. You put their face on every billboard, every commercial, every social media graphic. You don't apologize for the fact that one player is more famous than the rest of the roster. You leverage it. That's how franchises grow. The Fever are doing the opposite. They're punishing their own fan base for caring about the wrong player. The fans who bought season tickets because of Clark are being told, through every promotional graphic the team puts out, that their interest is somehow illegitimate, that they should care equally about everyone in the rotation, that wanting to see one specific player is a character flaw the organization is determined to correct. And the result is exactly what you'd expect. 2, 3, sometimes 4,000 fewer tickets sold per game compared to last season. Concession sales down. Local broadcast ratings softening on nights she's rested or injured. The franchise that should be printing money is instead handing out free oil changes to fill seats. The broadcaster booth gets it. Kate Scott looked at the turnover narrative, did 30 seconds of research, and put the truth on national television. The front office still doesn't. Or they do, and they're choosing to ignore it for reasons that have nothing to do with basketball and everything to do with internal politics most fans will never see. Here's the question that actually matters going forward. At what point does ownership step in? At what point does someone above the marketing department look at the attendance trend, look at the merchandise data, look at the rating splits, and ask why the most marketable player in women's professional sports history is being treated like a secondary character in her own franchise's promotional materials? Because right now, the strategy is failing in real time. The receipts are public, the ticket prices are public, the empty seats are visible on every broadcast. And the longer the Fever pretend the problem is anything other than their own refusal to embrace what they have, the worse the bleeding gets. So tell me in the comments, is this incompetence or is this intentional? Because I don't think both options can be true. Either the marketing department is making the dumbest business decisions in modern sports history, or someone in that building has decided the message matters more than the money. Pick one, make your case. I'm reading every reply. Hit subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this. Drop a like if Kate Scott deserves more flowers for what she did on that broadcast, and I'll see you in the next one.